Welcome everyone to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained. I am Dan Bloodworth, and as you can tell by the graphics, I am going to be talking about Villains and Vigilantes, the first edition, the revised edition, and this is going to be sort of a box opening. Even though I don't have the box set, I did order the game book, and I finally received it. So I was just going to, show that off a little bit. Now, if you've been following me, I've been talking about, or I've been following the RPG a day, 2018, and so day 24 was also a question asking, which game do you think is a game that deserves more recognition? And I could certainly point to this game, being an older generation game, as deserving more recognition for, when it was and what it actually did. I never played Marvel, TSR's Marvel game back in the 80s. I played Villains and Vigilantes, and I played a little bit of Champions. And I thought that Villains and Vigilantes was actually a better game than Champions. And I don't know how it compares to Marvel. I'd probably have to take a look at it. And I don't know if my bias towards this game would would taint my impression of Marvel, but I'm pretty much going to say that this is, in my opinion, the best of the first superhero-based games that was produced in the early '80s. Excuse me. So I had the PDF, and I'll just shift screens here. So originally I had the PDF, and I had printed it out, and even though the color didn't come out great on the cover, everything else printed just fine. And I started digging through the book and refreshing my memory on the game system. And then I decided, you know what, I you know I want to be very legitimate with this, and so I went and picked this up on eBay. So here is the revised edition, in actually very mint condition. So I was kind of impressed with it. Now I bought the game. I bought this game for, including shipping and handling, about $10. I'm sorry, $12. So for about $12, about $6 for the game, another five and change for shipping and handling. I don't know if that was exactly the greatest amount to pay, but the the mint or new of the booklet is certainly not an overly generous claim. So it's actually in excellent condition, and I am going to take it out and just confirm. So to give it a a little backboard here. So you can see the quality of the cover of this book, and you can see the binding of the book, and this has never been opened. So absolutely never been opened. Now it did come in a box set, but I can just as easily cut out the little counters and everything from the PDF version of the game, and I'd still have all of those. I can actually print them on the cardboard, backings that you use for magazines, and I'd have those counters very similar to what came in the box set anyway. So very happy with the purchase. Now this game here, I'm gonna mess around with the PDF. So I mean, this game here has. I'll see if I can change views again, and let's see what my desktop view is looking like. All right, so you can see character generation, and I'll try to modify my. That's probably about as clear. I have to work on getting better view. More clear view. Camera. I don't know if it's a resolution issue, but I mean they have various sections obviously on character creation. So I'll flip back over. They have character creation. So here's the contents of the game. Yeah, let me see if I can get this really a lot better, a lot closer. And then yeah, it's very grainy. And it's just a matter of trying to figure out the thing. So the contents you have the characters, you have good and evil, you have the sex and weight of the character, the age and experience, the basic characteristics, superpowers, final calculations, and the thing that reminded me is some of the things I remember you used to have to do those calculations, and certain traits would give you modifiers. So it'd be like a 1.25 modifier, and then you would multiply that by your character's weight, and that would give you their strength bonuses, that would give you their lifting capacity. That it was a system that did rely on numbers to generate a lot of things, but you were really quite able to create a character that had true superpowers. I mean, it was carrying capacities were were immense in this game. So you could very quickly end up with a character that wasn't even designed to be specifically a super strong character, but I mean they could easily haul around up to 2, 3, sometimes even 400 pounds without being specifically designed to be a super strong character. And same thing with same thing with the comparison between and I'll come back out of this view here. Same thing with the comparison of your superheroes or your supervillains compared to normal civilians, and I mean there was just no chance. So in that very campy way of like the old Batman TV series, you could a superhero or a supervillain could just punch their way out of any any combat situation where they were up against 10 or more civilian characters. There was just very little chance of them really holding back a a superhero or a supervillain. And that's why you needed superheroes and supervillains to stop these characters. I mean, that's kind of the whole premise of the the whole premise of these types of games is that you have a city, usually a darker image of a city, a city with high crime, and and then gotta apologize for the kid crying in the background, but high crime, and that's where the superheroes come into play, and then supervillains move in and they start organizing that crime, and becoming these like kingpins of, various sections of the city. And that's where your superheroes come into play. I mean, it's very cliche and it's, but that's how a lot of people, look at superhero, games, at least back in the day. That's how it was usually done, usually centered on a particular city. I know with X-Men and other superhero movies, of recent the recent decade or so, they've kind of changed that concept of it being anchored to a particular city. But if you've never played Villains and Vigilantes, I certainly suggest it. I know I believe it's in its third edition, so it's currently in print in the third edition. Although, the more and more I look at some of these older games back in the 1980s and getting back to purchasing the games that I had played back at the very beginning of my hobby of playing role-playing games, I really see no reason to go into additional editions of whether it be Villains of Vigilantes or Advanced Dungeons and Dragons First Edition or Call of Cthulhu its First Edition, and Twilight 2000. All these games of the early '80s, Star Frontiers, all these games of the early '80s were really timeless classics. I believe. I just might be, you know, a grognard about it, and so that's that. But if you haven't played Villains and Vigilantes, I suggest that you grab a hold of it. Like I said, I mean, I got the core rule book, fairly cheap on eBay and in awesome condition. So, bid away and maybe you'll get lucky. And a shout out to this came from nobleknight.com. So that's the seller that I got this particular edition off. So excellent quality and certainly mint condition as they claimed. It's going to go on my shelf. I'm going to rely on my PDF, and hopefully I'll at least create a character because I've been working on a character for another superhero based game. I'll at least create a character using V&V rules, and then that way I can compare the various systems with it. So thanks for joining in. If you liked the video, please hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please feel free to subscribe and comment if you have any comments about V&V or about any other superhero games that you think I should take a look at. Please include your comments. I almost always answer comments or give them a thumbs up as well. And you all have a good upcoming weekend. I look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen sometime soon within the next couple days or week. You all have a good afternoon.